Welcome back to another Jedi Survivor video, guys, and today we're going to be going through every single attack type and ability that I could find in the latest reveal trailer for Jedi Survivor. There are plenty of different attacks that we see throughout the little gameplay sections here, and if you guys do enjoy this video, I've also done a pretty similar video to this one, but going through all of the different enemy types that we see in the trailer as well, so be sure to go and check that one out too. Now, today's video is sponsored by Aura, but I will touch on those guys just a little bit later on in the video, so without wasting any time, let's jump right into it. Now, the very first bit of gameplay that we see in the trailer here is obviously this section with the Magna Guard, and the first attack is this sort of stab attack that we kind of saw in Jedi Fallen Order, but this one does look a little bit different. Do correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to be saying that a lot throughout this video. I'm going to try and sort of pinpoint which ones of these are new animations and which are from Fallen Order, but it's been a good 2 years since I've actually played Fallen Order, and so there's every chance I'm definitely wrong on a lot of these. So if this attack was in Fallen Order, then be sure to let me know. I know there was one that was definitely similar, and to be honest, this one kind of almost looks like it's an actual lock-in animation, like a finisher, for example. So whether this is like a legitimate attack or whether it is an actual finisher, we will just have to wait and see. Now, the very next shot, we see him do like a force lift on the scout troopers here, and I have a feeling it's going to be like a force push or a force throw after this. It obviously cuts out, so we don't get to see the whole thing, but I don't imagine he's just going to lift them up and then like leave them there. So I think this attack actually might have a bit more to it. My guess is that he will probably throw them, just absolutely yeet the scout troopers across the map. But again, we will just have to wait and see how this one finishes. Now, the next one, all of these are obviously in very quick succession. We see a sort of double-handed force push, and it pushes 3 enemies here. I know there was a very similar one to this in Fallen Order. I can't really remember if the animation was exactly the same as this one. One thing to keep in mind with this is that Cal is obviously a lot more powerful than he was in Fallen Order, because the KX series security droids, those things were damn tough, and I'm pretty sure when you did like force abilities on them, they didn't really affect them that much. I think obviously like the slow attack and stuff like that, though they did work, but they just weren't overly powerful. But in this shot, it pushes that KX droid very far back, so I think this will definitely be a bit more powerful than it was in Fallen Order. We then see a pretty interesting shot here of a force pull on this sort of like heavy stormtrooper there, which obviously was in the first game, but then he kind of picks up the stormtrooper, turns him around, and then actually makes him shoot at his own teammates there. Now, whether this is like a mind trick and he's mind tricking the stormtrooper to do that, or whether Cal is just like pulling the trigger with the force, we're not really too sure yet, but that is definitely going to be pretty fun to do. And then it also ends in a bit of a backslash, which that exact animation was in Fallen Order. It was kind of like the end of a lot of combos, so we've definitely seen that backslash attack before. We then see definitely a new addition to the different pools of attacks here, which is one on the back of this creature. We're not really sure what creature this is yet, but obviously we couldn't ride animals in Fallen Order, so this is definitely a new one. The attack itself looks pretty, standard, but I'd imagine that there will be a lot of different types of attacks on the back of creatures, and I'm very keen to see what else there is, whether they can do like heavy attacks and all that kind of thing, different combinations. This one obviously though does look pretty basic, but it's something we definitely did not see in Fallen Order. Now, before we go any further, I don't know if you guys do remember, but about 18 months ago, my YouTube channel was hacked and I completely lost control of it for about 3 days or so. And then actually a few days later, I also had my Netflix account hacked as well. And ever since then, I've come to realize that this stuff can happen very easily, and I've been super safe about that kind of thing ever since that happened. That's why I'm excited to partner with today's sponsor, Aura, which is an app on Apple, Android, Mac, and Windows devices that combines a secure VPN, an antivirus, a password manager, fraud and identity theft protection, and even a spam list removal list, all rolled into one single app. Aura is an easy-to-use app that includes everything you need to stay safe online. It even scans the internet and even the dark web looking for your emails, passwords, and social security numbers, and then sends you an alert if it does ever find anything out there, which is a crazy powerful tool in itself. Aura also automatically requests the removal of your info on any websites that result in spam emails or phone calls, which can save you a lot of time having to do that yourself. And then obviously, like I mentioned, it also includes a VPN, which I'm sure you guys know what that is, encrypting all of your data and browsing history online, as well as actually allowing you to change your location to access sites like Netflix, for example, in different countries, which means you can actually access shows and movies that you can't even access in your own country. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys might have an app for each of these different things. You might have a VPN already, you might have an antivirus protection, you might have a password manager, but I can almost guarantee that you don't have it all bundled into the same app at a price that is on average about 63% cheaper than getting these all individually. If you guys sign up with my link, which is aura.com/Sammy, and that link link can be found in the description and in the pinned comment. You can access a 2-week free trial, so you don't even have to pay right away, and you can test it out for yourselves and see if you like it, but I guarantee you'll be shocked by the amount of data that Aura finds in those 2 weeks and helps you remove it online. Again, that link is aura.com/Sammy, and that link is in the description and the pinned comment. Head over, sign up for a 2-week free trial, which also massively helps me and the channels as well. But with that being said, let's get stuck back into the video, guys. Now, one of the more interesting attacks that we do see throughout this trailer is a dual wield attack on this bounty hunter. Now, we know that there was a dual wield attack in the first game. However, that was more like a chain attack. It was like part of a combination. You couldn't actually just dual wield with your weapons. And although this shot itself doesn't really confirm that, we do know that through previous stuff there is going to be dual wielding in this game. We also see it a little bit later on. And so this could very well be our first look at actually like proper dual wielding, where you can just run around with 2 different lightsabers. Because like I said, even though it was there in the first game, it was more just like a specific attack rather than just being able to do that whenever you wanted. We see a pretty regular attack here on the sentry droid. This is pretty much exactly the same as just one of the normal attacks in Fallen Order. But then we also do see a finisher animation on the next sentry droid here, where Cal actually throws his lightsaber to sort of take its legs out, and then he brings that saber back, catches it, and does like a massive heavy attack. So this one definitely looks like a finisher. This isn't going to be something that's like you can do at any point. We had a lot of these finishes in Fallen Order, but this one definitely looks very unique compared to most of the stuff we saw in that game. We then see another attack that was definitely in Fallen Order, where Cal does like a reverse stab on this scout trooper here, but the difference is you could not do the next part of this, which is where he does like a double team attack with Bode, the new character. That part was definitely not there in the first game, and this one looks really cool, and this is obviously just a glimpse of what we're going to be able to do with these double team attacks. I think there's going to be some pretty awesome stuff here. I'd imagine we'll be able to do stuff with Bode and his blaster and stuff like that. So as cool as this one is, I think there's going to be some even more interesting and exciting attacks that we can do with Bode as well. We then see another attack that is pretty similar to that finisher animation on the sentry droid. Cal actually throws his saber at this like triceratops looking creature here, and then he sort of brings it back and catches it, and then hits another attack that's like a big sort of slashing heavy attack. It is different than that first one though, so this is definitely a different attack, but it's pretty much the same thing. You just throw your saber, catch it, and then do a heavy attack afterwards. And again, this one kind of looks like it's a bit more of like an actual animation, so maybe this is like part of a cutscene, or I'm not really sure. This could be a finisher animation, or it could just be a regular attack, so we'll just have to wait and see with that one. Now, this one is, for me personally, the coolest thing we saw in this trailer, and I actually was corrected in the comments section of the trailer breakdown. I thought this was a new attack, but it turns out this was in Fallen Order. I knew there was one similar to this, but I didn't realize it was actually the same as this, so correct me if I'm wrong there, but apparently this was in Fallen Order, and Cal obviously like throws his double-bladed saber, and it's almost like a boomerang around him. It goes all the way around him and just takes out anyone on the way. That is definitely one of the cooler attacks that we saw in this trailer, and like I said, I knew it looked somewhat familiar, but I thought it was slightly different in Fallen Order. But a lot of you guys did comment and say no, that was actually in Fallen Order already, so it's another one of those instances where I just haven't played in a very long time and I can't really remember those attacks. We then see a force slow ability here that I don't think this was in Fallen Order. Now, we obviously had the force slow ability, and I think there was like an upgraded version, but again, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you could do like a big force wave which resulted in slowing your enemies. I could be wrong on that. This is more of like an area of effect attack rather than like force slowing one enemy, but at the same time, I do know you could upgrade that ability in the first game and slow more than one enemy. So I could be wrong here again. I just can't really remember doing this all that much in the first game, and it looks pretty damn overpowered. So I feel like I would have pretty much abused that in the first game if I was able to. But again, I'm probably wrong on that, so be sure to let me know down in the comments section. He then also finishes that attack by picking up a droid and pretty much like walking it into the blaster bolt there. That was obviously in the first game as well, so we've seen that one in Fallen Order. Now, the next few abilities are actually not so much attacks, they're more just like things that I've noticed in the gameplay. We see Cal again dual wielding his sabers here, and he's doing like a double saber block here as he's sprinting at the stormtrooper. There was one similar to this in Fallen Order, but it was with the double bladed saber. But obviously this one, you've got those sabers separated, and so again, I don't think that was in the first game, but I could be wrong. I think the one in the first game that I'm thinking of was you were essentially like sprinted and spun your double-bladed saber around, so it's pretty similar to that, but it's just like a slightly different animation. We then also see Cal doing a force pull in midair, which actually like pulls him through the air, and that was something I'm pretty sure you definitely couldn't do in the first game. I think you could do it if there was one of those like, you know, a rope or something hanging from a certain area that you could actually catch onto. But in this one, there's nothing for him to actually catch onto there. So I think this is a new one. You can just do a jump and then actually pull yourself through the air. That might be cool to be able to jump further than you normally can and make a jump that you normally couldn't make without that ability, for example. And then we also see him grapple onto that little sort of like ledge there, a little bar, which again, that was not in the first game. It seems as though Cal is actually going to have like a grapple hook with him, which is going to be pretty cool, and also hopefully speed up the movement as well, which is always a good thing. And then we do also see Cal pretty much sliding down a wall with a lightsaber, which is a pretty awesome ability to have. Again, this isn't really an attack, but I guess you would call that an ability that we're probably going to have to unlock through the skill tree. Now, the very last attack that we see in this trailer is what seems to be some sort of like heavy attacks against the BX commandos here. It could just be the way that the trailer's edited, it might be slightly slowed down or something, but these attacks do definitely seem to be heavy. And this part's shown right after Cal like activates the crossguard on his saber. That almost feels like it's turning your saber into like a great sword rather than just a regular sword. And that crossguard is actually active through the, that section of gameplay too. So these definitely look like they're more heavy attacks, and then it also ends with a bit of a finisher there against the BX Commando. I think that one was already in Fallen Order. I feel like I remember doing that against the KX series security droids, but it could be slightly different. I just think it looks fairly similar at the very least, but it might be literally like an exact same replica of that same attack in Fallen Order. But anyway, guys, that is all of the different attacks and abilities that I could see throughout the trailer for Jedi Survivor. Like I said, be sure to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on any of these, whether they're new or old. The thing with Fallen Order is that obviously everyone kind of plays it differently because you unlock different stuff in the skill tree and everyone kind of had their own playstyle. So there was probably attacks you guys did a lot that I didn't do, and maybe you've seen some of these in that first game that I just didn't really use them myself. So like I said, be sure to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on any of these, as well as whether I missed any throughout the trailer as well. Coming up soon on the channel as well, I'm actually going to go through the trailer again and analyze all of the different stances that we can see, because we know there's going to be some like stance mechanics in this game, and I'm going to try and do my best. It's pretty hard to tell with the gameplay we've got, but I'm going to do my best to try and analyze those stances. So if you guys are keen on seeing that, be sure to let me know in the comments as well. It's a bit more of a niche video, so I'll probably gauge that by whether that's something you guys want to see or not. So like I said, be sure to let me know down below. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. Like I mentioned earlier, be sure to head to the link in the description and the pinned comment and download Aura. It's a 14-day free trial. You don't have to spend any money right away, and you can test it out for yourselves, and that massively helps me and the channels. But thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you always.